Will the Capitals visit the White House? And we're going to award a true champion in Champions Personified. Cole Sports presents On the Daily. Thank you, intelligent sportsmen, sportswomen, all around the world. This is Cole Johnson, and I'm so glad you're able to join me. Let's go easing into this weekend with this edition's On the Daily with Topic of the Day, please. We turn our attention to D.C., where the Capitals organization was asked, if the White House invites you, would you all go to celebrate with President Donald Trump? Most of the Capitals said they would. Not shocked. As in last year with the Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins, all actually were invited, all attended, all had a good time. However, there was one Capital who has already made his point clear that he wouldn't, and his name is Smith-Pelly. Now, people would probably look at this and say, okay, well, what is his color? He's black. Well, then there you go. That's why he won't go. But I wouldn't just simply quantify it that way. He has had a tumultuous season. Marked by when the Capitals traveled to United Center to play the Chicago Blackhawks, he heard some racial slurs and epithets tossed in his direction from a fan in the audience. And subsequently, that fan got booted out of there. And that was in February. Smith-Pelly was asked, I believe, in May, if the Capitals were to have won the Stanley Cup, which they did last week, if he would join his team at the White House, and he just said he would decline. It's interesting. It's interesting to hear these athletes toss over ideas, if it's right, if it's just, if it's necessary. My opinion is, if you win something big and the White House comes a calling, might as well celebrate it as often as you can. And at worst, you can pull the president aside and see if you can get something done. Now, yes, I know athletes aren't politicians, but athletes, just like celebrities, carry sway and influence. And if people haven't paid attention, this particular president loves celebrity and loves influence. We already have a story of him listening to Kim Kardashian West and pardoning a woman. We have another story of Sylvester Stallone wanting to strike the record clean of Jack Johnson. So if there's any president that we've ever had sitting in the White House, sitting in the Oval, that is influenced by celebrity and influenced by power of any sort, this is the guy. So it wouldn't hurt. Yes, I get that with many it would say, well, going to the White House is co-signing on some of the things he has said. I get that, yes. But sometimes you have to rise above that. One of my heroes, Martin Luther King Jr., did just that. Because I'm sure he was not bosom buddies with Lyndon Baines Johnson. He was not bosom buddies with JFK either. Yet he felt the need to force them to lend their ears to him. And that's what we need our athletes to do, or celebrities to do. Force him to lend his ear to you. And if he doesn't want to lend his ear, find another way to where he has to lend his ear and has no choice. But celebrate the honor, because it is one to be invited there. And that is your topic of the day. When I come back, we're going to award a champion. When I return, Champions Personified. Next. Coming up on Saturday's edition of On the Daily, we're going to talk about two boxing events that may put the sport back into prominence. Yes, Triple G and Canelo 2, and the unification of the heavyweight championship between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. And then we're going to, in the Inspiration Corner, look at the Texans quarterback, Deshaun Watson. That is for the wonderful, easy-going, nice, inspirational version of On the Daily. But that's for tomorrow. For today, we have a little bit of inspiration of its own to present to you. This man has done it all in tennis. And he's done it all in a frame and a look that you wouldn't think. From a country that you wouldn't even think he could do it from. But he has done it. And he's done it well. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Rafael Nadal in today's edition of Champions Personified. It was Sunday that Rafael Nadal disposed of Dominic Thiem in straight sets, 6-4, 6-3, 6-2, to win the most recent Grand Slam, the French Open. But it wasn't just ho-hum. It wasn't just, okay, another Grand Slam. No. No. This was Rafa's 11th Grand Slam tournament victory on Roland Garros. This man has won 11 French Open titles. You want me to put this in plain English for you? No player, man or woman, has won any Grand Slam tournament 10 times. And there's only been one player, men or women, who has won a Grand Slam tournament 9 times. And that's Martina Navratilova, winning 9 times at Wimbledon. 11 times. To rule a substance, or I should say, to rule a surface the way Rafael Nadal has is extremely phenomenal. And let me tell you how hard it is to be a champion of that particular tournament that many times. Let's take his greatest rival, Roger Federer. Now, he has 20 Grand Slams himself, and he has won Wimbledon 8 times. So grass is his surface, obviously, and he does pretty well on hard courts as well. He has gone to the finals many times in the French Open and has come away empty many of those times. He has only won the French Open once. 20-time champion in Grand Slam events, Federer has only won the French Open once. Andre Agassi, the man who broke through to the finals first in the French Open, couldn't win the tournament until he had at least one Wimbledon, had at least one US Open championship, had a few Australian Open championships before he finally got his career Grand Slam by winning the French Open 7 years after he won his first Grand Slam, which happened to be Wimbledon. John McEnroe. Now, this guy was absolutely on fire in 1984. On fire. I don't think I still to this day has seen a tennis player dominate a year like he did. Wimbledon, straight sets. US Open, straight sets. Australian Open, straight sets. He was on fire in 1984. And he had a 2-set lead in the French Open, and he lost it to the eventual champion, Ivan Lendl, who used that tournament basically to propel him to be the number one player in the world, and he actually was the number one player in the world, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years consecutively, starting in 1986. And then there's Pete Sampras. Won Wimbledon 7 times, won the US Open 6 times, I believe. He never played a French Open final. Never got to the finals of the French Open. Not once. Never got there. So to dominate a tournament of any stature is remarkable. Because the next man that's closest to him is Federer with 8 in Wimbledon. But on a surface where the bounces are slower, the play is extended longer because you can get to balls on clay that you can't on grass or hard court because the surface lends for the ball to bounce faster. Which more than likely means it's a test of endurance. It's a grueling fighting endurance test. So baseliners would have a better chance of winning that tournament versus servant volleyers who have a better chance of winning at, say, Wimbledon. But to do any Grand Slam tournament and win it once is amazing enough. To do it and win the same tournament 11 times, it's utterly remarkable. And people can say, well, Nadal is just a one-surface, one-trick pony, but he has won once in Wimbledon, twice at the US Open, 3 times in the Australian Open. And let me tell you how difficult it is to do what I'm about to express. So, Bjorn Borg, who was ruling the tennis world from the mid-70s to the early 80s, he won Wimbledon 5 straight times, and I believe he won the French Opens 5 straight times too. And if memory serves me correct, he won the French Open and Wimbledon back-to-back tournaments because the French Open starts around late May. Wimbledon starts latter part of June, early part of July. And those two surfaces are very different. One is clay, one is grass. He won French Open and Wimbledon in the same year, 3 consecutive years. And it was so grueling on him that after the 1981 Wimbledon final against John McEnroe, where he lost in 4 sets, that pretty much was when he said sayonara, and he was only 26. He could have gone onward and played competitive tennis for at least another 5-6 years. But you can see how grueling it is. It is a grueling tournament. It is a test of wills, the likes of which you really don't get in any other tournament, in any other Grand Slam. Now, you may have weather issues like with the US Open because it's hot there. The same with the Australian Open. And you may have surface issues with Wimbledon because the grass looks great the first day of the fortnight. The last day of the fortnight, you might have as much dirt as you do grass. But to be that locked in any single Grand Slam tournament and come away with the trophy 11 times, that just shows you the type of grit that Rafael Nadal has. And I'm here to say you are a champion, sir, in more ways than just saying that you hoisted up 17 different Grand Slam trophies over your head. You have proven to us that you can be a warrior on the court, and you can be class personified off of it. Thank you, Rafa, for teaching us all that you can be a class gentleman and a competitive warrior, all in the same clothing. If you happen to like this episode or any episode that you have seen thus far, subscribe to Cole Sports on YouTube. And join me in all the hijinks Monday through Saturday. I'm here for you and I'm here to serve it to you. And speaking of here to serve it to you, I can be here to serve another thing to you. Go to Instagram. No, not right now. After this video is over, which will be soon. Go there at Cole Sports with a Z on Instagram and answer the question of the day. And the question for today is, come on, you really think I was going to tell you? You got to go there to find out what it is. And hey, you never know. Cole Sports normally goes live somewhere. You probably catch me. And you'll know when I do go live. Because when this show goes live, so do I. And that's just how it is. Because I want to hear from you, my VIP. Because that's the man I am. Well, that's all the time I have. I thank you for joining me for all the intelligent sports men and women all around the world. I am Cole Johnson, and this has been another edition and episode of Cole Sports on the visual and on the daily.